Since late last year, I've really been getting into playing MMOs, especially World of Warcraft, and I've been trying to do my best to expand the horizon when it comes to these games in my library. I still remember when Star Wars The Old Republic was first announced, and I was really excited, although at that time I did not have a gaming PC, but I was really hoping it would come to consoles at some point. With so many other games that came along the way, I never really got to it, and now with me kind of really enjoying MMOs, I thought I should give this game a try. Star Wars The Old Republic is an MMO from Bioware, the people that made games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, so you already know it has a good set of hands behind it. If there was ever a game that would take over WoW's throne, it would be Star Wars, right? Of course, we know that Star Wars The Old Republic is not as popular as World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV. It does still have a very thriving community. So this review is from a beginner's perspective, someone that's very new to MMOs and also wants to invest their time in a game that is actually meaningful. As per my other MMO reviews, I played this game for up to 5 hours and have a good idea of what this game's about. So first, let's jump into the character creation and the story mode. The character creation for this was okay. It wasn't something spectacular. It was more on the level of WoW and not on the level of something like Elder Scrolls Online, but you had enough to kind of work with and make a character that is your own. You do get a cool set of options in terms of the path you want to take. If you want to be a Jedi, a Sith Lord, a Sage, a Trooper, you have so many options that I did not think there would be in this game. I honestly thought it was a fully Jedi based MMO, but I really like that they give an option to anyone that's playing out there to be the person you want to be in this universe. Within each of those options, there are multiple more options where you can kind of focus on healing or dual wielding if you're a Jedi Knight, which is what I chose. But I like that, again, it keeps going deeper down and gives you more options to play with. After going through the character creation, I was ready to go. I was really excited, especially it being this game where you are a Jedi Knight or you're trying to be a Jedi Knight, and there's just so many activities and things to possibly do. The story kind of just stays a little flat when you start. You basically are going in for your training if you're playing the Jedi Knight route, and some people start attacking people in the local area, and also there's, an overarching story around it, but that's kind of how the story begins. I won't lie, it didn't necessarily grab me. It was something where it was like, okay, this is what you just need to do to kind of, get through this area and this mission, but it was something where I was hoping for a huge kind of reveal or something they might pull from the Star Wars universe or the film universe that we know to kind of get us enticed and get us excited to kind of play this game. And don't get me wrong, there are some cool ups and downs with this storyline and also the storyline that kind of comes afterwards. So there's still an interesting story within this game. It's just more of finding ways to get new players to be invested immediately as opposed to getting invested 10 or 20 hours down the line. A common theme I will mention throughout this review is that it is important that the game values a player's time and values their commitment to this game. If the game does not grab you, there are so many other games out there that it does not make sense to keep playing a game for 10, 15, 20 hours in order for it to get good. Let's talk about the important part, which is the gameplay. I don't know what I was expecting with this gameplay, and I think that's more on me, but it definitely felt a little sluggish. I think because I went down the Jedi Knight route, and I've been playing games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, especially since the new game's coming out really soon, I was expecting something a bit more action-packed and involved. Instead, it is kind of doing what you would expect with an MMO, which is more of this turn-based kind of combat, a little slow, you have to kind of wait for your turn or for it to kind of recharge so you're gonna hit your lightsaber another time. But it was just not, it didn't feel impactful. I did not fully feel in control of my movesets. I wasn't feeling like I was actually making an impact or attacking someone. I was more of just kind of sitting there just tapping 1 or 2 or 3. Although I know this is how you play MMOs, it was that the other games were a bit more involved. You felt like you were making an impact as you were playing through this and getting through enemies. Whereas in this one, it was, oh, I guess there's 5 more of them in front of me. Let me just click 2, 3, 1 multiple times. All right, let's go. As you level up, you do continually get more and more movesets, which is awesome. So you are kind of learning new things as a Jedi, and some of the movesets and moves in general look really cool. So I do kind of like that. But overall, it was kind of just me going through and wielding a lightsaber, but it not really feeling like a lightsaber in your hand because you're not really doing much with it. You also start off with these kind of almost kendo stick kind of a things rather than the lightsaber, and you kind of graduate to a lightsaber later on. But sometimes you'll pick up a lightsaber which is actually not as strong as one of those sticks or those other things. I forgot what it's called. So it just feels weird. How is a stick or this whatever thing is more powerful than a lightsaber? This is a Jedi game. That kind of goes into loot, so it does have that typical loot progression where you will do missions, do dungeons, and you find loot on the ground that you're gonna pick up, obviously replace your gear if need be, and you'll keep leveling up accordingly. Similarly, they've done a pretty good job in terms of if you want to play with friends, so you are able to kind of roam around, do those story-based or those missions that are out in the world together. But when it comes to a very story-focused area, you can only go in if you are the same class or the same type of character, because that is kind of separated when it comes to the stories. So when you're approaching those areas, it will be kind of highlighted with a green or a red. If it's red, you can go through it. If it's green, you can go through it into the next area. I find that a little weird, but I do get it at the same time because some of the story stuff will make more sense on the Jedi side as opposed to the Trooper side. But I do wish there was a way to kind of bring everyone together, so I don't know how it impacts people that are playing together for many hours and they get to a point and it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go do this story thing and you go do yours, as opposed to kind of being able to kind of share that experience. I should also mention that as I was playing this game, I don't know what I leveled up to. I did get quite far. I don't know if it was close to like 15 or 19, whatever the level was that I got to, but I didn't notice anywhere where I could kind of specifically level up attributes. It was more of I would level up and I would get specific movesets. So I don't know if I missed that tutorial or messed something up or completely just missed if it popped up on the side somewhere. But I just wanted to mention that in case it did come up, because I did look up online and I couldn't find anything on this either. I should mention, if you are playing this game like me, which is on the free-to-play side of things, you are able to kind of do the entire story and get up to level 60 or 7, I think it's 60. But of course there will be items and specific skills and things that will be locked to you. But that in no way means that you need to pay for the game. You should definitely play the game in its free-to-play state before you actually invest any money into it. Now my favorite part, the music. This was very disappointing on my side. There were hints of that Star Wars perfect kind of sound that kind of comes out, really gets you out of nowhere, but 80 to 90% of the time it was kind of set in this Star Wars soundtrack that you would expect in like the movies or the TV shows, but it was in this battle mode kind of a sound. It always felt like, there was something creepy around you or there was someone bad around you. It was just always at this heightened state, and it was not something appealing or enjoyable when you're trying to just explore the world. World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls Online did a good job where they would kind of introduce specific sounds when you're exploring specific areas and then switch to the battle music when you do fight someone. That specific sound when you're exploring areas really get you, and it kind of gives you the soundtrack of life. You know how you would imagine a soundtrack in your head when you're doing certain things. It would just kind of give you this little dopamine rush and this boost. So you're just pushing forward and you're happy and you're like, yep, I'm gonna explore and take over this entire area, whatever it is. It was like this very motivational and elevated kind of a sound. In this case, it's just kind of that battle music, but all the time. And it's not even like amazing or good battle music. Like I said, when you're in specific areas, like the Jedi Temple in the initial spot, you do kind of get hints of Star Wars music that you really love, but it's for a very small percentage. This applied to other areas as well, so not just the initial area that you visit, but other spots. Music just kind of stayed consistent throughout, so it would not really change, although it might change here and there, but it would be very minimalistic. It was just something where I felt that this game, of all games, would be able to master, no doubt about it. But in this case, it just fell flat. Definitely very disappointed because I was looking forward to the soundtrack quite a bit. When it comes to the graphics in the game and how it looks okay. It does not really age the same way that World of Warcraft has done, where it has that aesthetic that just kind of looks pleasing to the eye because it has this, cool cartoonish look to everything. With Star Wars The Old Republic, it is kind of going towards that cartoonish look, but because we know Star Wars in our minds with the Star Wars movies and all, it doesn't really come across the best all the time. Although some characters definitely do look better as opposed to other ones, overall it's okay. You also have to keep in mind that the initial stage that you play is based on the original game, which came out around 2011. So things definitely must have changed over time when it comes to the detail around the world. I was playing this game on my 4090 on an ultra wide screen, and the game looked awesome overall. It ran really well. There was no hitches or issues or anything like that. Like I said, it was just the aesthetic and the look. I wished it was a bit more than what it was, and I wish there was more around the world itself. It felt like I was playing what World of Warcraft was in 2004 or 2007, but I was playing it in 2011. Obviously, I know I'm playing in 2023, but I'm trying to give you an idea of what the world kind of looks like. It's very barren, very empty. There's pockets of areas where you get a bunch of stuff, but most of the time it's empty. It also never feels like there's other people around you or other things happening, which I kind of wished was happening. So overall, Star Wars The Old Republic is a great game, but it is not a game that I will continue playing. It has a story that does not really grab you, at least for beginner players, especially in the early stages. The gameplay feels a little slow and sluggish, and the soundtrack just does not do a good job. However, since the game is free to play, you are able to kind of check this game out and see for yourself if it is a game that you would want to invest more time in. I strongly believe that if a game does not grab you, especially a game like an MMO, within the first 5 hours or so, you should not be forced to play the game for longer than that to enjoy yourself. If you're someone like me that really enjoys games like World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls Online, New World, stuff like that, it's better to kind of stick with those games, as those games will kind of give you what you would want. If you're someone completely new to MMOs, I would still kind of push you towards World of Warcraft or Elder Scrolls Online or Final Fantasy XIV, just because those games do a better job of introducing you to the story, the gameplay and all that. The gameplay is a bit more fun, the music is very engaging, and the story does grab you. It gives you a reason to keep playing, and in the end, end up paying a monthly subscription. If you're a lifelong Star Wars fan and just really want to check this game out, I definitely say check it out. It is free to play. You're able to kind of check it out on Steam or wherever. Try the game out, see for yourself, but be mindful. And who knows, you might end up enjoying this game a lot more than I did. So thank you everyone for joining. It really means a lot. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know what to do. I'll see you next time. Bye.